Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm Chris Love.
And I'm Jane Mackey.
Hello, I'm Zeke. Me and my friends Chris and Jane are being presented by US Sailing. They give a super discounted membership to college sailors. Head over to racing.ussailing.org/college and get yours today.
For the weekend review, it's really easy this weekend. We've got, first of all, the interconference of the week. The George E. Morris sailed at Boston University and won by Boston University. BC comes in second and Brown is third.
Outstanding performance by BC at the NISA Women's Champs. They win by 41 points over Yale. Way to go, Steph, Kelly, Erica and Elizabeth, who win both A and B divisions. Qualifying for nationals is BC, Yale. Semis qualifiers are URI, Dartmouth, Tufts, Conn College, Roger Williams, Coast Guard and Brown. The total of 9 spots is 2 more than NISA had last year and still reasonably tight around that 9th spot. By 2 points, Bowdoin misses out and MIT and Harvard also miss out.
And I'd be a total jerk if I don't shout out some love to Steph Hudson for BC for winning A Division and proving me wrong and shutting me up. Way to go, congrats.
Yeah, we obviously struggled a little on our predictions with the women's teams, so don't hold it against us.
And the big one of the weekend, 36 teams go down to Virginia to sail the semifinals, 2 completely separate regattas being run by ODU, Hampton Yacht Club and Hampton University, where half the teams from each regatta would move on to go and sail the ICSA Co-Ed Nationals in St. Pete in a few weeks. Our very own Love Chris was on site providing some superb live coverage with a really weird voice.
So the Eastern semifinal going upwind, the Western semifinal about to start. So we're gonna head back down there now.
Chris, so what the heck was going on down there?
With the voice thing, I was just trying to slow it down and make myself sound a little bit more manly. But with the regatta, what was going on was a gorgeous weekend down in Hampton Roads. Beautiful conditions, wind coming up every morning, building to heavy sea breeze by the afternoon, and just an awesome regatta all around. 13 races in each fleet in each division. Taking a look at the results, it's pretty much exactly as we expected, and the conditions were such that I think, if we had sailed half the number of races or double the number of races, we pretty much would have seen the same results, the cream rising to the top here. Although I gotta say, I was a little bit surprised to see Charleston down there in the 8th spot. Zeke?
Woof.
So, as we expected, Chris, it pretty much panned out to our predictions, but I still heard that there was quite a big difference between the top and the bottoms of these fleets. Some of the top players said that after a bad start or a bad tactical decision, they were still able to sail their way right through to the front. This isn't likely to be the case at nationals when the top tiers of these fleets are competing against one another.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Jane, this was kind of an anti-college regatta. It was a steady sea breeze pretty much for both days, all day long. And this meant that there were 4 legs of a pretty well-set course. With these long downwind legs, teams wing on wing. And it meant exactly what you're talking about. Teams that were really good could come back, and we saw a lot of kind of upside down fleets at the top mark, but by the final leg it was pretty much all panned out the same way each race.
Well, what I really want to talk about is how happy that I am that I graduated when I did, because if I were still in college sailing, I'd be getting my butt whooped by all these youngsters, much like all the older guys are right now. I can't believe the performance from these underclassmen, including these freshmen like Esteban Ferrer for ODU winning B Division. And in that Eastern semifinal, other than Stanford getting second, everyone in the top 5 were underclassmen, which is sort of unheard of. Then over in the Western, sophomore Graham Landy wins A Division, and freshmen go 1-2 in B Division, Raul Rios and Nevin Snow. So I'm just kind of shocked at how these youngsters are performing. I'm glad I'm not there getting my butt whooped by them. I looked back to last year's semis. Last year, the top 6 in A Division and 4 out of the top 6 in B Division at the Western semis were seniors. And freshman Graham Landy was second in B, so he's kind of the only youngster doing it last year. So what a difference between last year's senior guys and this year, where we see teams like Charleston and Brown with all seniors sort of getting beat up on by these young guys.
It's pretty amazing. When we noticed at the beginning of the spring season, when we were looking at team race teams, how pretty much nobody from last year was returning, more than 2 boats. But these youngsters have really proven themselves here at the end of the season. They are a bunch of studs, and it's a good thing for college sailing, I think.
Yeah, we kind of predicted this one, but how about ODU finishing 2nd overall? We had them ranked much further back in our predictions.
Yeah, I definitely thought ODU would be qualifying there on their home waters, but like you say, not expecting them to get 2nd. We know that they've got the talent with Dill Dog there in A Division holding it down, and Esteban proving himself as a total knockout stud in B. And they're ahead of the likes of Roger Williams and Brown, which I don't think anybody expected. So hats off to those guys, and way to go.
Definitely didn't expect it. I'm kind of embarrassed. I had Brown winning that regatta, and I don't know what happened.
Well, Chris, don't feel too embarrassed. I also picked a team to win that certainly disappointed me. Charleston, a bunch of seniors, just like Brown, not quite really performing. Some teams that did sort of surprise me in the West, though, Hobart William Smith finishing 3rd and MIT finishing 4th. Don't know how big of a shock that was. I think if Charleston had performed the way they should have, Hobart and MIT would have been kind of where they should have been. But really strong performances from both of those teams, so congrats to them. And I also thought BC would have performed a little bit better than they did. They're kind of a bit of a one-division team, it seems like, which begs the question, where are those ladies that were getting it done at NISA? And if I were coaching them, I'd have at least one of them sailing in the dinghies for co-eds.
Yeah, I had BC ranked 3rd going into this regatta ahead of Yale, who, by the way, wins the regatta. Pretty nice effort for those guys.
Really impressive win for Yale, especially watching A Division sailors Graham Landy and Chris Barnard going back and forth all regatta long. Looking forward to seeing that at Nationals.
And I know you guys didn't think I was going to let a whole episode of Chalk Talk go by without mentioning my girl Mary Hall holding it down in B Division, getting 3rd. Woohoo!
And speaking of Navy, we did come through on last week's silly Facebook poll. I did ask Brendan Healy about his mustache, which unfortunately he wasn't wearing for semifinals.
What happened there?
Fell off, man.
It's a bummer.
Woke up one morning and there was just a pile of hair laying on my pillow. Unfortunately, I think it was just the dream was over.
Well, we all saw the picture.
That's all I have to say about that.
We saw the picture. How long did it take you to grow that mustache?
Overnight. Take a Rogaine and just like squeeze it out like a strip with your finger, like toothpaste. Slap it on there. Done. Overnight, pops right out. Pretty impressive, actually. It worked really well.
Interesting that looking at the final scores, only one runaway show, and that is Alec Anderson winning A Division.
Yeah, he sure was impressive. I got a chance to chat with him after a set. He got 2 bullets.
What sort of lessons have you learned that you can take into tomorrow?
I'd say number 1, remaining calm. Yeah, after the race 5 and 6, I was a little worked up. I was a little worked up. Probably getting on Alyssa's nerves a little bit. So we refocused after that one and came back out nice and calm, cool and collective, and a couple conservative but fast right on the line starts, and it paid off.
The results back up what we said last week about the West. The top 8, including Charleston, are extremely close, and then a larger drop-off to Wisconsin in 9th. In the East, as we predicted, more divides here, but a surprising drop-off between Dartmouth and Brown, and then Navy and USF.
Yeah, and a super close finish for the last spot in the West between UF and Wisco. UF unfortunately getting 2 DSQs in a row in A Division, which mathematically is what prevented them from just edging out Wisco for the last spot. Tough break for those guys, 3 seniors, and the real heartbreak here is that it prevented me from having a perfect pick bracket for the week. I was able to pick up 2 points with my picks in the East that were perfect, but can't pick up any points in the West due to those DSQs.
Yep, I didn't do so well in the East. I had Eckerd and Connecticut finishing in the top 9, and they did not, but I did have picks in the West, perfect score, so I pick up 1 point.
And I have 1 wrong at each event, so close but not close enough.
Well, I've got to imagine that the coaches, when looking at the Sailing World rankings this week, are probably going to follow the results of the semifinals, but it'll be interesting to see how they match the finishers in the East versus the finishers in the West. And for all of that, we turn to our correspondent at Sailing World magazine, Meredith Powlison.
Hey, Chris. Well, to answer that question, Stanford, the winner of the Eastern semifinal, is the #1 team in the 6th and final poll of the year, but Western champion Yale is only 4 points behind. We saw Yale beat Georgetown by just 1 point in that semifinal, and in this ranking, Yale is only 2 points ahead of Georgetown. It's an incredibly close top three. Old Dominion and Roger Williams, also with standout performances this past weekend, make major moves up into the top 5. All 18 teams that qualified for co-ed nationals are ranked, which of course makes sense, and then the 19th and 20th spots go to Connecticut College and Harvard. The University of Florida Gators move up into the also receiving vote section in this final poll. On the women's side, Boston College takes all but 2 of the coaches' first place votes, which puts them ahead of Yale. St. Mary's slips past Georgetown into 4th place, Rhode Island moves up into 8th, and Connecticut College and Hobart William Smith move from the also receiving vote section into the top 15. So this is our final national ranking for the season, but we'll have conference rankings out in the middle of May on our website. And also be sure to grab that June issue of Sailing World out of your mailbox. We look at college sailors and some recent college graduates in the Red Bull Youth America's Cup on the Olympic circuit. And you'll also probably recognize a couple, if not all 7, of the college grads that we profile who have made sailing a priority in their working lives. So thanks again for having me on the show this season, and I'm looking forward to your coverage of nationals.
Now, if you were watching Chalk Talk last week, you might remember that the Christopher Williford Second Win Regatta is coming up on May 5th. It's going to be sailed out of Lauderdale Yacht Club, and there's a virtual event that college teams are signing up for to help Christopher Williford and his family through the rest of his treatment. Teams already signed up for the virtual 420 club division are University of Wisconsin, UVM, Tulane, Georgetown, Yale, Roger Williams, URI, and Dartmouth. To sign your team up, head over to yachtscoring.com, and you can also make a donation by clicking on the link that will appear in the description of this video.
And for the weekend ahead, just 3 more conference championships to round out the championship season before nationals. Minnesota hosts the MCSA Team Race Champs, with the home team Minnesota, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Michigan expected to attend. Now, they're supposed to get 2 berths to nationals out of this regatta, but as you noticed, I just mentioned only 4 teams. If that's the case, then MCSA will not be able to claim that 2nd berth. They'll drop down to just 1. Recall also that ICSA had the same problem earlier in the season. It was supposed to pass to CISA, but they couldn't accept it for the same reason, and so the ICSA Board of Directors had to step in. We just learned this week that they have made their decision. The MCSA berth and the CISA berth will be reallocated to NISA and MESA. So this means that Hobart William Smith retroactively picks up a berth to nationals after finishing 4th at the Prosser earlier this season. It also means that the New England Championship held this weekend will be for 4 berths instead of 3.
Yeah, I think Wisco's a no-brainer here, coming off a good performance at the semifinals, getting that last spot into nationals. I don't think any of these guys are going to be able to touch them.
I'm going to go with Wisco. They are the strongest team.
Well, after watching those guys out there this weekend, I think I'm going to have to go with Wisconsin, but I'm excited to see University of Michigan give them a good run for their money.
And the NISA Team Race Champs are being hosted by Harvard on the River Charles, where, as we saw last year, anything can happen. I know I'd be pretty nervous especially if I were one of these top teams to go have a nationals qualifier on that river. It's going to be wacky. Who do you guys like?
For the top 3, I'm going to take Yale, BC, and Brown. And it was tough to pick an order for them to finish just because all these teams have beaten each other at one point or another this season. And then for the 4th spot, I looked at Dartmouth, Tufts, even Harvard with kind of an outside shot. We haven't seen them much. But I decided to go with Roger Williams, and that's basically because I watched Alec Anderson and Alyssa Seifert destroy A-Division this weekend. So I'm thinking they can bring that over to the team racing.
I'm going to go with Yale, BC, and Brown for sure. And in that 4th slot, I'm picking Tufts. I think they have the strongest team out of the next sort of 3 teams that I think have a chance. That includes Roger Williams and Dartmouth. Just don't think they have quite as strong a team as Tufts does.
Yeah, I think Brown is actually going to get the win here, followed by Yale and then BC. And for the last spot, which is definitely tough, I think Roger Williams is going to get it done. They're so well coached in team racing, and Alec Anderson is really firing on all cylinders here. So I'm going to go with them to get that last spot.
Next up is the ICSA champs being sailed out of Fern Ridge. The lineup includes University of Washington, University of Oregon, Ohio State, and Western Washington. The forecast is looking good, 10 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour and 85 degrees. It's going to be all about boat handling and speed. Now, when we look to the favourites for this regatta, University of Washington is definitely up there. They were third at the McIntyre and had a good result in co-eds at the St. Francis Yacht Club Invite. So who do you guys pick here?
And I'm going to take University of Washington. They've got the results to back it up.
UW for sure.
Yep, going with the University of Washington.
So I would like to take a minute to talk about something that is really important in college sailing. Everybody's got a lot of experience in judging it, and that is who is the best looking team in all of college sailing. Now, this may come as a surprise to you guys, but I'm going to go with the beautiful Southern Belles from the College of Charleston. You know, Mac Mace has got enough chest hair to clothe most small armies. Corey DeColibus, her eyes go for days, and I don't know if you guys have seen Brooks Clark's abs. Out of this world. If you agree with me, please like this post. And if you have horrible taste in judging good looks, then go ahead and comment with who you think is the best. Photos will help your argument.
Well, I think we'll leave it there. That's it for this week on Shock Talk.
I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now.
With, mainsail and jib sail. Oh, God. Who says jib sail? Sorry. What did you say?
You said jib sail. I
I just
make
said
that
jib
up.
sail.
That's not a thing.
That's pretty amazing. That's not going on the air.